Yeah. So welcome. I think that we've got a good group together. We can start our road. Are you all good to go?
I think so.
Yep.
All right. So Becky, you mentioned you had a kind of a hard stop at 9, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, my husband is in the process of trying to get my parents to work out where he is at the airport.
Yeah, fun games.
So they keep sending me messages.
All right. So we're gonna peel some onions today, and hopefully without crying. Yeah. So I kind of interjected this one because I was going through some of my earlier on my own leadership courses and authentic leadership and NLP, and I came across these neurological levels, and they fit in quite nicely with kind of our mission on the road to mastery, is to find that authenticity in the way we act out our mastery of Scrum, or our accountabilities as a Scrum Master. And this fit really nice with that. So take a look at this. A couple of statements about this model. It's not like our brain is like an onion, like an actual onion. It is no actual neurological data that's there that proves that our brain is structured this way. It's just a helpful model. And as you know, every model is a simplification. It's a helpful frame, so to speak, that we can use in our own reflections, in our own strategies, in our own behavior, and the way we kind of approach situations. Are you familiar also with the agile onion? Yeah, I see some.
Yeah.
So this is fairly similar, right? And I believe the agile onion is based on this. But it's kind of the other way around, because the agile onion has like the tools and processes at the bottom, which is more like in the environment which we have here at the top. Yeah, so the onion, that is you. And in coaching, and I experienced this also in my own leadership journey, is this: can you peel away these layers slowly and slowly get closer to true you? And as with peeling onions, it's not uncommon for coaches to end up crying, because it gives you such profound insights in your life, I would say, in your successful strategies, but also your failing strategies, and how we process the difficult things in our lives, including trauma. I don't want to go as deep as that today. I just want to stick kind of to superficial Scrum stuff. Anyone here also familiar with this particular representation? May have come across this. Yeah, so I tried to kind of put some information around it. So the environment is that which we can sense, we experience it through our senses, right? It's what happens around us. And when we go, like, if you get new people on training, we often, when we first meet, we meet each other's egos. It is what it is, but we simply do. And what happens is we want to talk about things in our environment. Like we talk about the problems that we have, the things we're trying to fix. So a lot of Scrum Masters go on a training. Here are all the problems that I have in my environment, and let's go and talk about them and fix them, right? And then we do it like, as a Scrum Master, I have this problem in the situation. This is what's going on, and I find a way how to deal with that and make it better, blah blah blah. So that's kind of the default mode, the problem-solving state of mind, and yeah, acted out from our ego. And I'm talking about ego in a more of a positive way here, not the negative, necessarily negative way, but it's how we position ourselves. So when we position ourselves as a Scrum Master, kind of communicating from our ego, as I'm doing right now, probably. But that's why, establishing base camp first, the psychological safety, etc., getting to know each other, and then feeling comfortable, feeling like we're all, hey, we belong here, we're okay here, that we show more of our true selves, and we also start to look inwards, like look at our own internal environment rather than just trying to fix things in our external environment. We also look to ourselves and the way we ourselves deal with things, our own influence. But that requires vulnerability. You have to expose a few layers of yourself if you want to go and talk about these things from that perspective. So it takes some time before we can peel away the layers. And that's really where we can, that's where real meaningful change emerges from. It's not that superficial external environment layer. We have to find and look at our own selves and strategies and be vulnerable in that perspective. And, take a look at how we position ourselves and what we value and how that comes into play. I understand that's a little bit vague, but we're going to make it really specific, so I have a scenario prepared for you. So let's just go straight into that. So yeah, feel free to grab your markers again, as we're going to peel this onion. And it's during the retrospective, Jim, there he is again, a developer, once again did not work on the team's improvements plan to clean up the version control system from long outstanding branches. Everyone did their part, save Jim. Jim leans back, rolls his eyes, averts his eyes, frowns and sighs, and he simply says, yeah, I have more important stuff to do, like fixing that production issue on Tuesday. I think just a junior should do this job. And the last time, you also observed that Jim was a bit passive, he was more like an attendee rather than a real participant. He did not provide any input, even when asked. He expressed no opposition either. And during the sprint, you specifically checked in with Jim to ask about the progress. How's it going, Jim? But Jim said to you, I haven't got around to it yet. And then when you asked Jim if you need any help, Jim said, no, I'm busy. All right. So feel free to mark anything here that kind of stands out to you. I'm going to start peeling this onion from these layers. So we're going to do this taking turns. I want to start with the environment layer. And I have two questions. So who wants to start I will ask you 2 questions about the environment and what you can read from the scenario about the environment. Is there anyone who wants to start? Anyone brave enough? Yeah, Demerson. Thank you. So Demerson, what does this story reveal to you about the setting?
The setting.
Yeah, if you could just talk about the setting of this, you know, what do you know about the setting?
It looks to me that this is a hierarchical setting in which, at least to Jim, it makes a difference between levels of seniority. If he's a junior, if he's a senior, and so on. So there's a pyramid here.
Yeah. So like a kind of a hierarchy within the team, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we know there's a setting of a team. What kind?
Say that again.
It's the setting of a team we have.
Yeah.
So you can state the obvious, right? When we're dissecting. So.
Something else that crosses my mind is Jim doesn't feel or doesn't understand the importance of at least one of the events because he's not really committed to that event, the retrospective.
Yeah, you're already going a little bit too deep here. So we're going to keep it superficial about the environment. So you don't know about feelings at this point in time or values and commitments and stuff. But what kind of environment is Jim in? What's the setting?
Software development.
Software development, yeah.
Yeah.
Does it reveal to you anything about the way they're working?
Yeah, it's probably a Scrum team working software development. And yeah, I guess that's in a nutshell. That's how the ways of working are set there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we have at least a team, probably Scrum, but you know, definitely agile characteristics. They have a retrospective, they have sprint, they have something of an improvement goal. It's probably software because they're talking about branches and cleaning up that and fixing production issues. So those are just these are environmental observations, right? A retrospective, there's multiple team members there. You can also observe that maybe people are busy or say they are busy. But even that goes already a little deeper. Is there anything in terms of this setting, Demerson, that stands out to you, something that you might like to see? Let's imagine you're the Scrum Master in the situation. Is there anything about the setting, specifically the setting, not about behavior, not about values or interactions, but just the setting that you'd like to see changed? Things that you like about it, things that you don't like about it.
I like the fact that this is, because it's software development, it's an agile environment, which makes sense. What I don't like again is probably that clear hierarchy that is stated.
Yeah. Yeah, good. So who's ready to go a level deeper? Who's ready to share some?
I can try.
Yeah. So going a level deeper, we talk about your observations, how you read the situation in terms of behavior. What do people say? What do people do? So what over here, imagine you're in a situation, what is the observable behavior that is stated here?
The observable behavior is that Jim leans back, rolls, and then adverse eye frowns and sixes.
Yeah.
I mean, those are body language expressions. And another thing is that he's passive.
Yeah, you observed, right? That Jim was a passive attendee.
It's a passive attendee, not a participant.
Mm-hmm.
Not
So
providing
what
input.
people did not do, right? What did people do, but also what they know.
And no opposition. I mean, it's a feels like he doesn't care, basically, to be honest. What is happening there, and when during the sprint also I see lack of transparency when you ask him about the progress as a Scrum Master. I haven't gotten around to it yet. Now I'm busy, so I mean, it's not clear what he's doing, and also, yeah, it's
very good, very good.
He's
so you kind of already sorry, apologies for interrupting there, but yeah, you mentioned some things that were done, not done, what was said. You also made some interpretations, right, about whether they care or not. That's actually again a level deeper, because this is something you infer but not necessarily observe. But is there anything in behavior that you'd like to see differently, if you were in this situation, from your own personal perspective?
So
specifically the behaviors.
I would like to see that Jim is not very ego driven and play more like a teamwork, because seems like what is important is not in line with the team plan.
So what would Jim have said or done that would characterize it more like teamwork to you?
What he should work on the team improvements on his part, and also he should help other teammates with the work if he's not able to do and has some other stuff, important stuff. He should coach the less experienced teammates, help them. Also provide input during the events, and being a participant in the team events, sprint events.
So we're taking a little adventure, but notice how you said he should do this, he should do that, he should do that. Okay, I'm looking. That's good, right? But that's really good that you said that, because it gives me the opportunity to also kind of reveal a point here about the onions. Would it sound differently if you would say, or if I would say, I would have liked it if that if everyone did their part in the team improvement goal, including Jim. I would like it if everyone actually participated instead of just passively observed. What changes if you phrase it like this versus phrase it like he should, or because we're kind of saying the same thing.
Yeah, should is like it's like trying to be more how to say it, like a must, like something that
So maybe
Yeah, you're expressing an expectation there, right? Of
yeah,
someone
right.
else, right? But this happens when you communicate from different layers. Like if you're very external, like outside, you will tell he should do this and they should have done that, right? But now you're talking about I would have liked this, and then we're going to explore a little bit further why you would like that. So go down a level deeper. So, before you do that, what might you in that situation say or do? Specifically say or do? So we're not talking about what Jim might do or the other developers, but specifically you, if you were in that situation. Is there something you would say or do?
If I
Where would you start?
I had something similar today, so I started to what is happening, if it's something wrong with what we are doing during the event, and if there is anything that makes Jim or some other participants uncomfortable, and if the way the event is happening made them not speak. I mean, if they are feeling safe to speak, or why they are not expressing themselves. I mean, this is what I asked, for example, today after a meeting.
Yeah, good. So this captures nicely the behavior layer. You did this really nicely. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Not as easy as it at first sounds. So then we go level down. That's capabilities and competencies, and skills, and such. So we go like in a realm of could or couldn't, would or would, right? Are you ready to go, Becky, for this one?
Yeah, what was the question?
I didn't ask a question yet. So yeah, we're going to go a level down further into competencies. Does this story reveal to you anything about people's competencies, people's abilities, maybe?
I'm not sure that it actually reflects abilities, but it does reflect his perspective of people's abilities. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely does. And that's okay.
To me, it looks like he believes that some of the work is more important than the other work. The team's improvement plan is not as high priority as whatever it was he worked on Tuesday.
But how does it tie into his capabilities?
Well, he obviously thinks that, well, he appears to think that the juniors should be doing this improvement work because they're possibly not capable of doing whatever it was that he did that was really important,
Yeah.
the production issue. So he's basically saying that all of the important and complicated things he should do, and the juniors should do the menial tasks.
Yeah.
That's what it implies.
It implies that to you. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it would be a disappointing
Mm-hmm.
stance, I think, because for me, it's really important that if somebody has more experience, that they share it and they encourage those people with less experience to grow. I mean, that's all about mentoring and leadership within the team, which he doesn't appear to be doing at all.
Yeah, so it's also about things he's not showing, right? He's not showing any form of mentoring here as a competence. How about competency in fulfilling that team's improvement plan? And then this is interesting because this is about, is he able to do it? Is he able, but he won't, like you?
Well, this is the other issue.
Yeah.
It might be that he possibly doesn't know how to do it, and he doesn't want to seem incompetent in front of the juniors, which is a possibility.
It's a possibility, yeah. We don't know because it's not provided, but yeah, we do know that he didn't do the whether he was able to but didn't do, or maybe he says, well, he wasn't able to because he was otherwise occupied, right? It doesn't reveal anything about the competency there, but maybe only his competencies, I would say, in living up to his agreement to the team, right? Do you do what you say you would do? That's all. I would personally, I would also consider that a competency, right? To do that. Maybe is. I'm not sure if that's valid here, but yeah, does it reveal any successful or failing operating strategies? Meaning, does it reveal something people do that have an unsuccessful outcome, or do you observe things that happen that do have a successful outcome?
I'm not entirely sure what that question means, but it's quite interesting that he didn't express any opposition. So if he was hoping that it would just go away, or that somebody else would do it, or that he doesn't feel part of the team, maybe. But the fact that he didn't say anything, and even when he was asked if he needed help, which possibly wouldn't have been a perfect question to somebody in that situation, because he's never going to admit that he doesn't need help if he needs help. So he's being kind of passively in opposition without expressing it, which seems like an odd way to approach a situation if that is his tactic.
Yeah, so it is a strategy, whether conscious or not, right? So he may not consciously, but this is observable, right? And this is
for me, it's like
this is the pattern.
It's like he built a wall between him and the other team members, something like that.
So what then, go a little bit more into the constructive mode, like if according to you, what competencies might be useful for you, maybe in responding to the situation, or what competencies it might have made a difference according to you if others would have demonstrated different competencies or skills? You mentioned mentoring already, I think.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a really tricky one to know exactly why he's behaving in that way and what his mindset is, and there's very little information there other than a kind of passive distancing from the team.
Yeah, good.
He's not mentoring, he's not really behaving like, as he says, a senior person, because that person should be teaching and coaching and helping to build up the more junior members of the team, and none of that is happening. So he's not really a team member, he's just doing his work and expecting other people to do their work, but he's not really a part of the team.
Yeah. Emerson, you raise your hand.
Yeah. What I want to say is, just analyzing the scenario, we could probably come up with one or two skills or tactics to try to help, just like coaching, mentoring, maybe talking to other team members as well. But I believe in a real life scenario, any decisions made with those pieces of information would be very hasty. The one thing that comes to mind is, without knowing the history behind, it's almost impossible to understand where he's coming from. So have there been many changes in the team, and then new juniors were added and all old colleagues were dismissed? Why is he behaving the way he is behaving? There must be a reason behind that. It must just be something.
Yeah.
But of course, with the information we have, I guess coaching Jim would be my go-to weapon, I guess.
Yeah. And notice how we're still projecting things outwards, right? We're still talking about Jim and what will be good or right for him. You know, comments will led up to that. So we're going to stick with that for a while, right? So we're keeping we keep projecting outwards. But do you want to stay with me, with Emerson, and maybe answer a couple of the next questions?
Sure.
So we're going to again go a level detail. This is more indeed about the principles. I would say it's almost like what takes precedence in how we approach things or do things. So, you know, one way that is made visible to us is through the decisions people make, choices. What choices were made?
I guess the tactic or the choice he took was to step away from making an active decision. So he was passive all throughout the process. He doesn't give his opinion. He doesn't say he's for or against anything. He just
and do you think that's kind of like a decision he made to be passive rather than active? Like to stay in the background rather.
It may be, but it may also be just a subconscious decision that is preventing him from taking any other actions. It may or may not be something he thought through. But either way, the results is stagnant.
Yeah. What other decisions are made in this example?
A little fight back, I would say. He's not very transparent, just like I believe Florian mentioned. He's not very transparent when he says, I haven't started, I didn't have time because I'm busy. How are you, or what are you busy with? Is there anything else that you need help with? All those pieces he just ignores, and it's kind of opaque.
yeah, so he had to make decisions in his, I'm going to work on this, but not on this, right? I did work on production. I didn't work on the team improvement plan, right? I made a decision not to accept any support there. That's also you mentioned, right?
Like a lone wolf wants to
Yeah,
to resolve everything by himself.
yeah. Good. Yeah, so that's good that reveals what's happening in this layer, right? Do you think that does this reveal? Oh, Ray, you want to add some more?
Oh,
Or
I
something
just
else?
wanted to add, and I apologize if this was mentioned while I was dealing with my audio issues, but to go along with that, not only is he busy, but he's made the decision that the things that he's busy with are more important, and that's kind of above and to the left of juniors. You know, he had more important stuff to do. Yep, yeah. So I just wanted to add that one on there because I didn't see it highlighted.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a decision. That's a principle. Like he's a principle to put this over something else, but we don't know why, what's driving that. So what does it also reveal anything like what might his principle be that motivated him to make that choice? Or the way that is, does this reveal anything about that? Or is it left to us for us to infer this? But yeah, this reveals maybe a little bit more. It doesn't clearly state it, but this reveals a bit of motivation, right? It reveals a little bit about its principles. What do you agree or disagree with the decisions that were made? What do you, Demerson?
One thing I may agree with, again, without knowing the full story here, is that at one point he prioritized something he judged as the top priority, the production incident. It may be a good decision as long as soon as he finishes or even before he starts, depending on the context, he informs everyone else. He's transparent about that. So reacting to a crisis is something that we should do, except we need to be transparent with everyone else. I agree without knowing more with that. I don't agree with the way he follows up. So basically, that's that. My decision is the correct one, and you should all know best. You should know that I'm not going to do the tiny improvements. That's a junior task.
Yeah, so we made some assumptions, right? What Jim may care about or not. Let's hold up the mirror to ourselves and ask ourselves, why do we, what's it to us? What do we stand for? What are your principles in this case, and how might they be different to Jim's?
Something very basic here, but looking at that situation and analyzing how I would respond in his stead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is that your question?
Yeah, I think that will reveal something about you. I think that's good. Yeah.
So I would say there is exciting work to be done, and there is work that is boring to be done. But the work must be done. As long as the team does it, I would be happy to do the boring work here and there, then do the exciting work eventually. As long as the team works together, I would collaborate and cooperate. Yeah, as long as the team works together.
Yeah. So what could be said of your principles in this case?
I value team. I value a collaborative environment, I guess.
Yeah, you mentioned also transparency earlier, so those are things that you are on top of your mind, right? But you also mentioned you could empathize with the fact that you respond quickly to crisis situations. That makes sense. And, you know, maybe that was the best thing to do, but so what we're already starting to do is we're projecting ours, we're starting to project inwards a little bit, like, you know, this is how it affects us, not just going over there, right? We are exploring why does it trigger a response from me, like the kind of emotions does it trigger within me. You know, he does it this way, I would have done it that way. He said this, I might have said that. Why would I have said it differently, right? So now we're kind of starting to see two images, one that is within yourself and one is without yourself, like from the outside of yourself. What are your, like a good one to maybe wrap this one up with you, Demerson? What would be your intention here if you were in a situation right now and you've observed this, you're experiencing this? What can you voice your intention?
My intention will be to somehow go back to a status in which everyone is collaborating again, somehow fixing that situation.
Yeah. So one of your principles really is that, okay, we want to see the people interacting again. That's what you would be aiming for.
Recreating harmony, I would say.
Yeah, very good. Oh. And we can recognize that had it been someone else answering that question, they may have had a different intention, right? I mean, maybe Mano would have had a different, I'm looking for a different outcome here.
I mean, it's I also value collaboration and teamwork, and I value the fact that people are equal in a team. With doesn't matter the experience they have. But I will try to understand a little bit what drives Jim and what is his purpose, in order to try to also met his expectations and the other team members' expectations, to see how I can bring the harmony that Demerson also mentioned.
Yeah. So yeah, theming of understanding, shared understanding, empathizing. Now we're going to go somewhere a little bit, I think, even more interesting, right? This is the area where we generally do not go into at work. I'm generalizing here, but this is not something that's generally top of mind. We're going to talk about ego, and ego is about how we position ourselves, right? How we project and position. And this is difficult to kind of narrow it down. And there's a whole, I mean, there's so much content and theory behind this that will help you kind of navigate the ego landscape, but we're going to keep it simple for now. You know, in your own words, and I'm see if Ray, are you ready for this?
Sure.
Sure. All right. So, yeah, how did do individuals position themselves in this example? So I'm not talking about you, but about the individuals here. How can you see any kind of positioning that's going on? And you may, you know, if you want me to specify what positioning means.
Yeah, if you don't mind, because I'm trying to.
Yeah, so position is how you like to, how do you like the others to see you in that sense, and how you want to be positioned in that particular maybe setting? I don't want to give too many things away from the scenario, but how you've been positioning so far, how we've been positioning ourselves in response to the situation as the help, right? We want to come in and help and resolve and understand, and create collaboration again. We want to do something in response to what is going on to make it, because there's some things going on that do not align necessarily with our principles, that or principles you shared there, Emerson, about, hey, where's this transparency, where's the collaboration? I'd like to do something about that. So, and the way I want to do it is, one of those shared, maybe see if I can better understand Jim's motivations and what's going on. So that's
Yeah,
positioning. So we position ourselves as maybe a help or supportive, a how do you call it, like a web weaver of creating harmony.
So yeah, it's actually, looking at the scenario, it's a very passive positioning. You're observing body language and behavior, and you even observe that it's happened again, but you don't really dig too deep into it in this scenario. You check in with Jim and you ask about the progress, but it seems almost like a closed-ended question instead of kind of an earnest question where you try to get into things in more detail. So the scenario doesn't say what happens next, but so within the scenario, it kind of ends with him saying, "I'm busy," that at that point, you have to make the decision whether you want to pursue it deeper or let it go. But if you let it go, you're going to let it get worse. So yeah, so it's in my opinion, a very passive positioning of just kind of like, have you gotten around to this? And he says, I haven't gotten into it yet. Like, well, okay, do you need any help? It's no, I'm busy. And like, you're not digging any deeper. Like, you're being really focused on that particular improvement plan instead of looking at the potential deeper causes of it.
Yeah. Yeah, you're checking in. What's that, control? I think looking for control of the situation. I'd say I mean, of course, the protagonist here in the story, but asking about progress, so maybe asking if he needs any help. It's like almost, again, positioning yourself as the helper. You want to maybe almost inflict help here. Like, okay, you're absolving yourself from all, I asked him for help, right? So it's his thing, right? So it's almost, there is a little bit of, a couple of question marks there, I would say. What's the position of, how do you think Jim positions himself?
So Jim is kind of positioning himself as above the work, that what he's doing is, we've already highlighted it. It's more important. And that, he's positionally or experientially more senior than other members of the team that he views should be doing the work. Kind of the work is kind of beneath him, and he's also kind of checked out. Like he's not just a passive attendee, but he also doesn't really participate. And he doesn't express opposition openly, but his behavior expresses opposition, like that response of, no, I'm busy, and not doing the work and saying, I think Junior should do it. He is opposing it. It's just not in a verbal sense, but his behavior is loudly saying, I oppose doing this for whatever reason.
Yeah, so he positions himself as like being above the work, as being, above, the work is beneath, and should juniors position themselves above the juniors in that sense, like, oh no, work's beneath me. I'm busy, busy bee, busy bee ego. Some of you may remember. Yeah. I've got more important stuff to do, right? Then it's kind of like that's on top, right? Maybe I'm not actively participating because this is all beneath me, right? This is a waste of my time. I'm worth more than this. You could, so that's a very negative way of framing this. This is maybe how his ego projects onto us. But if we were in Jim's shoes, if we could assume a positive intention with his ego and his positioning, what would be good about the way Jim would position himself here, according to Jim?
Yeah. Oh no, there was a question. When you say position, can I interpret that as his stance?
Yeah, you could interpret as a stance as well. I think that's part of it. Again, I'm not too much of an expert in this, but that's the way I would read it as well. Like,
okay. What I would say is that what is good about this position he takes in is he's trying to show himself as efficient and as someone reliable for the things that really matter, or the things that in his mind are the priority, just like the issue, the production issue. So that is good in a sense. He is trying to do the right things when it really makes a difference, an immediate difference. That is the good part.
Yeah. Absolutely. So he also positioned himself as the rescuer, right? You know, fix the production issue. Yeah, right. Dropped everything I'm doing, fixed it, you know, stepped in to save the day there.
Ready to sacrifice everything else for the greater good.
And he's positioning himself also because everyone did their part, save Jim. Everyone just save Jim, right? So he's positioned himself outside. He doesn't want to fit in. He wants to stand out. That's also, you know, is your head, you know, above what everybody, above the curtain or behind the curtain. Yeah, I know, Becky, you have to go in a couple of minutes, so maybe question for you to kind of go even a little bit deeper. But is there anything here that provokes, you know, imagine you're being in a situation that will provoke emotions in you, or urges you in some way to react or respond? Triggers almost.
I mean, I have come across similar situations to this. This hero mentality of things are beneath you. They're constantly firefighting. They're doing all the really important things. But it's not teamwork. I think that's the thing. There's no collaboration. There's no communication. And it says right at the beginning that he's doing it once again. So this is not just a one-off. It's a repeated being the hero of the team and making decisions without speaking to people and deciding what's the priority without any discussion. And so he's working on his own and making these decisions on his own.
Yeah,
I mean, they might be the right
what does it mean to
decision.
you? Why would you care about it? Why is there something in you that, you know, why do you care about teamwork and that he's...
Because I think having a hero, especially if they are within a team, is quite difficult for the other team members.
And why do you care if it's difficult for other team members?
Because
What's
I
it
care
to you?
about
But they're
my
other
team.
team members, right? What's it to you? Yeah, how
I
does
care
it affect
very
you,
much
Becky?
about my teams.
Yeah, well, why do you care about your team?
Why do I care about my team? Because I know them personally, and I know Jim, and I know all the other team members. And I suppose if it didn't really upset the team, I mean, really, it's a case of take it to the team, discuss it at the retrospective, see what is a problem for the team and what isn't a problem for the team. I mean, just because I personally had a problem with it is not a reason to you know, change things. Really, this is a team issue, and yeah, I mean, I would personally take it to the team and discuss it at the retrospective.
Yeah. And again, it's interesting also because you're also positioning yourself like maybe in the way that you're, let's say, well, the hero. But are you then also maybe projecting yourself in the situation as being above that?
Yeah, I'm the hero of the hero. I'm the hero of the team.
Are you the
I'm going to save them.
Save them from the hero, right? So you're the
Yes.
savior. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, no,
That's
I mean,
why we're doing this, right? We're gonna hold the
yes, I mean,
mirror
without
up to
any
ourselves.
context, it's very difficult because it might be that Jim's having a really hard time at home and he's not normally like this. He's only been doing this over the last 4 weeks or something. So that says, once again, it might not be an ongoing. He might be, you know, been doing the same work for 20 years and actually he's quite bored. Who knows?
Yeah.
So without context
We-
and without diving deeper, it would be really difficult to say. But yes, it's not my personal issue, and I probably shouldn't try and fix it in that way because it's not for me to fix.
So now we're really going to go down into so there's maybe differences between principles and values, and they're easy to connect. And I must admit I don't know always the difference between them, but yeah, based on what I value, I may have make different decisions. I put one thing over the other based on what I value. That's kind of how I would kind of explain this hierarchy and the levels. Again, I don't know if this is the intended way of explaining that, but for me, that's if I like value transparency, I maybe want to look for different and value it higher than something else. Then that's how I would guide me in the way I act and make decisions in certain situations. I would do this over that, or I would see this but not that. I would act on this, but I would ignore that because I value something stronger than something else. And we value different things. That's why we behave and respond and make decisions in different ways, right? And in different moments and times, we may value different things as well in our lives. So with that, we can ask ourselves, and I know, Becky, if you got to go, it's just for you, that's just past 9. Yeah, so this is good. This is still about the ego, but it's still a good question. In what way do you want to be respected in your response to the situation? It's very difficult to answer that, but I want to be respected as, maybe a coach to the situation, right? So I want to be respected in the way I'm going to maybe approach Jim to find out, why he's not actively participating, why is he not doing what we're agreeing to, why he's only now letting us know that he'd rather have others do the work, why maybe he's so busy, will he accept me as a coach? I want to be maybe respected and accepted maybe as either a mentor, a guide, or a coach to him. Or maybe if you're a different kind of person, maybe you want to be respected as a manager or a team member or whatnot. But that reveals something, I think, also about the ego. But then we go a level deeper, like the values. What in the situation is truly meaningful to you? Like Demonson revealed, transparency, people being open about each other, about the challenges of work. Again, there's much to unpack using this, right? You get so many different perspectives again, like your flashlight shining on this situation, all from different angles. You're looking at yourself, it's like your old past, your history, your emotions, how that'll come to play here.
one thing with this scenario is that makes it difficult is that situations like this don't happen in a vacuum. Like, you don't generally run into somebody suddenly just saying like, I'm working on more important stuff and checking out like that and being that disinterested. And there are events that lead up to it. So, just I think that makes it more challenging, because realistically, as a member of the team, you should have some form of relationship with the members of the team, and you should kind of, one of the things that I don't want to say you should, but one of the things that you can do is when you're approaching a situation like this, you have to reflect and think what might have contributed to this to get it to this point.
Yeah. Yeah, it reminds me also of the zebra story. Do you know the zebra story? The zebra and why the zebras have stripes?
No,
No?
no.
Well, it's kind of strange, guys, because zebras they're black and white and they have stripes, and that's not very natural. Like, it's not camouflage, is it? They stand out, but also not, because they're camouflaged against the herd. So they're prey to what? To lions, for example, cheetahs and whatnot. So what happens is, of course, they can see the herd, but because of the stripes, it's very confusing for the lion or whatever predator is attacking them to figure out they can't single out, because when they're moving, they're like, oh, well, where did it go, right? So, and they need to hunt as a group often. So, and that requires, singling someone or something out, and they can't. And that's why they're protected against the herd. And as soon as, for example, that, one has a limp or something else wrong with it that makes it stand out, then that one dies.
That reminds me now of the old Navy technique. I don't remember if it's World War I or World War II. They painted the ships with different black and white lines and patterns to try to confuse the enemy from targeting their ship.
Oh, that's cool. Look at that. Oh, they really did paint them like zebras, didn't they?
Wow, I didn't know that.
That's so funny. War penguin.
Yeah, it's an early example of biomimicry, even though I'm not sure if they were necessarily inspired by the zebras, but
yeah, the last one looked more like Mondrian or something. Cool. Yeah. Yeah, thanks so much for this, right? This was a challenge for me. This is new, so
yeah, thanks again. I like this. I like the different perspectives that it encourages you to pursue. So thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, as for me, it's good to be a really good reminder to keep reminding yourself to look inwards, not just outwards. When you don't just say what you want others to do or say or whatever, you say what it means to you. Like, how does it affect you? What do you stand for? What are your values? Yeah. So shall we wrap it up?
Yep, I guess.
You
Thanks
too,
so
Ray.
much.
Good to go.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Thank you for being here again. I really enjoyed this and really great practice for me. Thank you.